list.
If you guys like listening to us, make sure you subscribe and share with your friends. We really appreciate it.
All right, enjoy. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Shut Up and Watch the Movie, a movie podcast where we make each other watch a movie. I guess that is what it is. I'm Tyson.
Wow. I'm Christina.
And, we're back here again in the podcast closet to give you another great episode. This week, we're doing Return of the Living Dead, an 80s classic. To some people, maybe not to other people. This one's kind of more obscure. This is a more obscure movie.
I had never seen it before, but I think I'd heard of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's also, uses the title convention of a bunch of other zombie movies.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I think I've seen it, and you were like, no, you haven't.
It's possible that you're also thinking of another movie.
Yep.
But before we get into that, we do a little segment on the show called the Tiny... Sorry.
Exactly.
I had a stroke.
That's exactly what it's called.
It's the teeny tiny movie corner. And we just talk about a movie we watched in the past week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But wait. Before we get into that, Christina, what do you think about the mustache soul patch combination?
Oh my god. You guys, Tyson was traveling this week, and he texts us. First of all, he texts us, and he's like, guys, I'm going to shave my head. And I think I've spoken out on this, on the podcast before. I think that is a mistake, just in general. Any man that wants to do that, you're going to regret it. I don't live your life. I can't tell you what to do.
I've seen some cool men with buzz
I think
cuts.
it's a mistake. You couldn't even handle shaving your mustache over the summer. You shaved your mustache and immediately you were like, wow, I regret this. This was a bad decision.
Okay, what about...
You're going to shave your head
what
and
about
you think you're going to be happy about that?
What about our bald kings out there? Do you hate bald people?
I don't hate bald people. I don't hate buzz cuts. I just think that having a luscious hair that's nice is a luxury. So enjoy it while you have it. Don't rush the balding process, Tyson, okay? Your hair's gonna get gray and you're gonna bald one day. So why would you do that to yourself now?
I might not bald. We don't know that.
You might not. We don't know.
There's no evidence. Anyway, so yeah, I have a mustache and a soul patch because I was going...
You also, and then we were all like, don't do that. And then Tyson's next thing was like, okay, less extreme, mustache and soul patch, which I was like, listen... Not, once again, I can't tell you what to do.
So we watched Nosferatu, and Aaron Taylor...
bringing that up.
Aaron Taylor Johnson looks sick as fuck in that movie.
No, because here's the thing. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's pretty hot. That movie, not his best look.
I would disagree. I think that is his best look.
I would disagree. I just think, when I think soul patch, I just think of, 2000s,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
it's out of style for a reason.
All fashion styles are in trend at all points now due to the ever interconnected nature of the internet.
I do think 2000 stuff in general though is making a comeback right now.
Y2K
which
core.
I don't. It's never been my favorite era for fashion.
No. It is probably one of the worst.
I feel like it's really popular and it's just never.
A lot of cargo shorts.
Never been my thing personally. No hate to anyone out there that loves it. I feel like I look at other people wearing 2000 stuff and I'm like, looks cool. I just, for me, not my vibe. But if you want to grow a soul patch,
which I am currently.
You know what the beauty of that is though? Is if you don't like it, you can just shave it off.
Yeah,
it's not a big deal.
Yeah,
and you know what? Even with the hair, if you shave it, then it's okay, it'll grow back.
Yeah, I know, but look.
Well, we can hope, unless it's too late in your balding process already and it never comes back. But
this is my new look now forever. So I'm glad we decided this as a community.
I'm glad you felt the need to get that off your chest.
I just I was hoping if I threw it out...
when I think soul patch, I think Guy Fieri.
No, you're not thinking... You're thinking just the soul patch. I'm not talking about, Howie Mandel. I'm talking mustache with a little bit... Not a full goatee.
That's not much better.
Not a full goatee, but just a little something just to even out the bottom of the face along with the top.
I mean, you do it.
I'm gonna. This is my look. We've determined this. Okay, this is a movie podcast.
You brought it up.
I know.
You wanted to make a point out of it.
I was hoping that if I brought it up on the podcast, then I could get not that anyone ever emails.
That I'd be nicer about it.
No,
than our discussion
but
earlier.
I thought maybe next week we might get some emails that are like, Yeah, you know what? That is a sick as fuck look.
Well, this is also an audio medium, so people who have never met you before don't know what you look like, probably.
They can imagine Aaron Taylor Johnson and Nosferatu.
That's a bold statement to say that you look like Aaron Taylor Johnson.
I look identical to that. Okay, so this is the...
I'm not gonna...
This is the
right
tiny movie corner where we talk about a movie we just watched in the past week. Christina, you can go first.
I am gonna go first. I finally watched Dune Part 2, and you know what? I hate to admit it, it was pretty good.
Why do you hate to admit it?
Because Dune Part 1 was, like, fine. I did not think it was as great as people made it out to be. And then on top of that, I felt that, what was I going to say?
I don't know what you were going to say. I can't read your mind.
Oh, you know what it was? I read the book. I read the book, right? During COVID.
Yeah.
That was the most boring book.
That's
cannot believe that I read that whole thing. Like,
that's going to get you killed by somebody.
No, I stand by it.
It's a popular
here's the
book.
Thing. I understand, like, how important it is and, like, the grand scheme of, like, what it did for science fiction and everything. But if you read it, it's boring. It's not good. And everybody, that was, like, the biggest complaint with the first movie is everyone's like, oh, it's so slow. I'm like, you think this is slow? Try reading the damn book, okay? It's so boring.
I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast before, but, like, I can't even talk because I opened up the first page, saw several words I didn't know, flipped to the back, saw there was a glossary of terms.
They don't explain anything. You have to go look at the appendix, and it's like a several page. It's not like a few different words.
No, and I put the book down.
So many things.
Yeah.
But Dune Part 2 was pretty great.
Yeah.
I will hand it to everybody out there, all the Dune heads. I don't know.
It's a very popular movie.
It was very good. I thought it was a great job. I thought it was a lot more entertaining than both the book and the first movie.
I like the first movie a bit more.
Really?
The first movie goes by like that to me.
I will say it felt long. I watched it over 2 days because I had busy. I'm trying to watch all the Oscar movies, so I'm like trying to get it in where I can.
Well, yeah, we might do a Oscar episode next week.
I think we are doing an Oscar
I think we are doing it, but then
I was gonna bring that up at the end of the podcast.
Well, we might as well say it because you just said
we're gonna do an Oscar episode. We're trying to watch all the Best Picture nominations before we record. We'll see. There's still 1 or 2 that are only in theaters, so we can't guarantee anything. But so I'm trying to make my way through the ones I haven't seen yet. So that's part of the reason why I watched.
We'll just try to watch most of them, and we can
as much as we can.
Yeah, I mean, like it's not
no promises, but yeah, Dune 2, good. Kind of surprised it was not nominated. I understand why people are mad now that it wasn't nominated for more. I get the rage and I agree with it.
It's like the Gen Z Lord of the Rings.
I can see that. Yeah, Timothée Chalamet's great in it. Zendaya's great in it. Austin Butler's being weird, but it works.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay.
Anya Taylor-Joy's there is like for 5 seconds.
What is Austin Butler's like career? What is he trying to do with his career? Because what is this like? No. But what is this like swagger he puts on? You don't. Okay, I know everybody's talked about this before, but he does that Elvis voice, and I'm not saying he still does the Elvis voice, but he still talks like he's like a rough and tumble wayward soul.
Just how he kind of talks, though. Like
I don't think so. He was
he
was a DCOM star, right?
Was he?
I think he was. I think
the earliest thing I've seen him in is the Carrie Diaries TV show, which I think was like early 2010s.
Austin Butler.
And he was like the cute high school boy love interest in that.
No, he was on Zoe 101.
Oh, I never really watched Zoe 101 that much.
Zoe 101 was pretty good.
I feel like I watched it a little bit, but not really.
He's in Sharpay's Fabulous Adventure.
I did know that, actually.
I didn't know that. Wow. It all comes back around.
Everything comes back to High School Musical at the end of the day.
Do you think he's actually a cool guy in real life? On the off chance he listens to this podcast, I'm not trying to say you're not cool. I'm just saying.
I was going to say he seems chill. I don't think I'd have any issues. He seems like a normal guy.
I can't tell if I would be intimidated by him if I saw him in person.
I feel like he seems like he'd be like friendly. He seems really chill. Like he seems calm, you know?
You know, he'd look good with a mustache and a soul patch. Wait a sec. I mean, he pretty much has one here. No, I mean, like it kind of connects into a regular beard, but it's like the way his facial hair grows in.
Okay, yeah. But anyway, Dune Part 2, thumbs up.
Yep.
Pretty great.
Okay, cool.
I liked it.
That's awesome. I saw it. It's pretty good.
I feel like everyone has.
Yeah, it's definitely a big tentpole movie for the community.
That was like one of the biggest movies last year. All right. Well, your turn.
No, but the Oscars decided what? Like
The Oscars was like, actually,
Amelia Perez.
no, Dune Part 2. Or it did get nominated for a few things, but very
I'm
little.
not even sure
No
what other-
challengers.
No challengers either. I talked to some people and they're like, we didn't like challenge. I was like, wow. I thought it was like universally acclaimed, but several people
There are people that don't
in
like
the
it.
film space, mind you, were like, it didn't seem to be. It was not contributing anything.
I met a girl over summer who plays tennis at a college, and she was like, yeah, no, I feel like tennis players didn't really like it. And I was like, oh, interesting. I'm like, I mean, okay. Like,
Well,
I
that's
get that it's
not
probably
for
not, like,
them.
accurate.
It's
like,
not for tennis players. It's
Right.
for us sickos, right?
us freaks
who want to watch that throuple just get
Right,
into trouble. I
exactly.
don't know.
mess with each other's heads.
But I mean, I guess we'll talk about that more next week on the.
Right. Why don't you go ahead and share your movie
Yeah.
for the
Okay.
movie corner?
All right. I don't even know which one I was gonna do, but I've seen a bunch of movies in the past week. I think I'm gonna go with. Well, okay. Actually, I'll just do two. I'm not gonna do a full-on review, but I did see The Monkey, which is the next
Oh,
Osgood
yeah.
Perkins.
Uh-huh.
He's got like an Alfred Hitchcock thing going on where he wants to be like, I don't know, the marketing for this movie, it's like him talk. I don't know. He's making himself like a character, like an elusive, like
The director
showman.
is?
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like I haven't really seen much about this movie.
Anyway, I thought it was fine. I liked the tone of it, and I like how cartoony the gore. It's like very gory, and it's very funny. And it's
Okay.
not a horror movie in the sense like it's just funny.
Oh,
It's not. At no point is it scary. It's just, well, it's uncomfortable, and the some of the kills are distressing, but it's mostly played for laughs.
I did not realize that. Interesting.
No, it's very American Werewolf, which
Okay.
he did say was in his on his Letterboxd interview.
Oh.
Said it was in his top 4. So
Love a good Letterboxd interview.
you can see the
They do
threads.
great work over there at Letterboxd.
You can see the threads. And then the movie I watched on the plane back here was Batman Returns. Dude, this movie kicks ass.
Is that like one of the 90s ones?
Yeah, it's the second Tim Burton one.
Oh, with
Dude,
like Michael Keaton, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And Danny
I-
DeVito is the Penguin.
Oh, hell yeah.
Dude, it's fucking sick. And it looks beautiful. Michelle Pfeiffer is Catwoman.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
That sounds sick, actually.
Danny DeVito as the Penguin is like, I want to show that girl my flipper trick. He's really gross and like disgusting. It's like horror. And the movie is so gorgeous. And
Really?
you know what? Tim Burton had the sauce at one point. Look, man,
He
I
did.
really like Tim Burton, and I even like some of the movies that people don't like of his. I just like
what?
you know what? I think his Alice in Wonderland movie's pretty good. I think it's
Okay.
all right. But
I liked it as a kid. I have not seen it since I was like 10.
but like, I mean, we both saw Beetlejuice. I was just like, ugh.
I didn't think that was bad.
I didn't
thought
think it was bad,
fine.
but I didn't think it was good.
I didn't think it was like Edward Scissorhands, but
Yeah, dude, he had the sauce. Oh man,
I thought Beetlejuice was fine.
what do
He
you
was a little too focused on including his current girlfriend. I feel like if they had cut out that whole plot, it would.
Well, I think that's a
lot
testament to that whole movie is that there's like 800 plots going on. Okay, so I guess that's that.
Should we get into what we're here to talk about?
Yeah, the Return of the Living Dead.
Return of the Living Dead.
I'm pumped, man.
This is a campy movie.
I like this movie a lot.
A little silly, a little fun.
But
Really not scary, honestly.
and you didn't know anything about it going in?
No.
I think
I mean, I assumed it was a zombie movie.
this
but
movie, I think, actually has a very similar tone to The Monkey. I will say, I think this movie has scarier. Well, I don't know if scary is the right word. When we say scary, we could be meaning a bunch of different things. I think this movie has some very distressing moments.
Yeah.
We can get into them when we get into them, but what
Sorry.
what face are you making? Christina's looking at her phone.
My
she's going like,
brother's texting
huh?
me
Huh? And I'm like, what are you? We're
that
doing
he's
a
like
podcast.
at a slot machine and he like won a bunch of money.
How much money did he win?
He went on a casino boat. I don't want to say.
Are you rich now? Is that what we're?
No.
No. Okay.
No. Just like a little bit of extra pocket cash, but I don't. He went on a casino boat, and I don't want to dox where he is.
No,
but
no, don't. But imagine this.
I'm really confused.
Shut up and watch the movie Goes to Vegas. Takes Vegas.
What would we do?
We would gamble. We talk about movies while we're at the craps table.
Why?
I don't know, man. Gambling's fun.
Oh no! Have you ever gambled before?
Not to like any real extent. I mean, I've played pretty much all the casino games at safer environments.
The only time I've gambled was when we were back in North Carolina and they first made like sports betting legal. So like all the apps had
Yeah.
like spend
yeah.
$500 or spend $5 and you get $200 free to do what you wish. So I
that's
did that.
How they get you though.
And actually, well, I think it's funny because my friends were all like, oh, do it and then like split your bet 50-50 on like a team like had put like 100 towards them winning and 100 towards them losing. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm sorry. If I'm gonna gamble, I'm gonna gamble. I'm going all in, baby.
Yeah.
Like all or nothing.
Make a
Go big
decision,
or go
yeah.
home. So I did bet and then I won. And it was I don't really understand like I don't understand like the parlays and like all the different like things. So I didn't really understand what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so the bet I made was like already like favored to the team that I bet to win was like favored to win. So like I didn't even get that much money out of it.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, that was because it was funny because my friends were like, oh God, are we like starting Christina's gambling
Christina
addiction?
gambling addiction. This is exactly
She's gonna win big and then like she's gonna get addicted, but like that's not what happened. I was like kind of underwhelmed by how much. I mean, I got some free money, can't complain.
Well,
Put it in my pocket.
Those
I
apps
was
are
like,
really
all right,
dangerous, and I'm glad
that's it. And then I deleted it because I was like, well, that was kind of that was anticlimactic.
yeah, I'm glad I never got into it or like sports betting because I feel like I would just do it all the time.
Yeah, people's like lives
I
get
know.
ruined.
Well, how did we get on this? Oh yeah.
Oh, sorry, my brother was texting.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
for him, I guess.
And then I said, "Shut up and watch the movie Takes Vegas." Which, if you want to see it,
I don't. I just
email
there's
in.
a lot of.
Email in.
I'm too broke to go to Vegas right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, no.
But maybe that's the point.
We could raise
go and
we could
win
do a
big.
GoFundMe, and then we could
And then
spend
we're
the
not-
GoFundMe money on the slot machines. Okay.
I mean, if people pay for me to go to Vegas, I'll go to Vegas.
All right. So yeah, you didn't know much about this movie.
No.
I guess we can go ahead and get into my little facts and figures segment.
Sure.
Do. All right.
You're gonna do a different jingle
Is that
every
not?
week.
I think that was the jingle.
I have no clue what the jingle.
I'm pretty
I
sure
don't-
that was the jingle
I kind
I
of
used
zone
last
out
week.
during this part.
I could have somebody make like a little synth riff or something.
Call up our
Anyway.
jingle guy.
This is directed and written by Dan O'Bannon. Now, Dan O'Bannon, you may know, is the screenwriter from Alien, or one of them.
Oh,
The first
I did
Alien.
not know that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
He's worked with John Carpenter. He, of course, worked with Ridley Scott.
Mm-hmm.
This was originally going to be directed by Toby Hooper, who did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but then he dropped out for something else. And then,
This is a lot sillier than that.
yeah, and so Dan O'Bannon took it up. I got a lot of fun behind-the-scenes information on this one.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So, and it is, what was the budget? 3 to 4 million, wow.
That's pretty cheap.
Box office, 14.2 million. So, not, I guess, a huge profit, but, you know.
This seems kind of like a cult movie,
Didn't release-
cult classic.
Oh, I guess I should say when it released. August 16th, 1995. Okay, that's the end of my facts and figures segment.
Great.
Listen, you hate it, people love it. I know.
I will say, I don't hate it as much when it's a movie like this where, like, I really don't know anything about it.
Yeah, okay.
When it's
well,
High School Musical, it's like you're saying it, and I'm like, yeah,
yeah,
I know.
You know.
I
you
know.
But
Well, it's
I don't think
boring.
everybody knows.
It's fine.
Okay, so the film, is known for having a lot of like 80s punk culture.
It's it's like aggressively 80s.
Yeah, it's
I had a note about that when we get to a certain part, but
And it's very rebellious in this kind of same way They Live is. It's very anti-government because it just explores.
yeah. No, I would say not as explicitly as They
No,
Live.
no, but it's more just
It
implicit.
pokes a little bit in that direction, though.
In how the government handles,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
They
right.
Live is like kill the rich, very
Yeah.
like almost explicitly. This one's a little bit more just like it's a little disorganized, don't you think?
All right, so I guess we can just go ahead and get into the plot.
So
Yeah.
Go-
okay,
you go.
No, you go. You go.
Okay. So we start. Actually, there's just another behind the scenes fun fact. Normally, Tyson and I watch all these movies together. This is one of the few episodes where we did not watch this. So Tyson really doesn't know any of my opinions.
Yeah, no,
yet.
I don't. I don't have any reactions.
That'll be
so,
fun.
you know.
Sometimes we'll usually have some sort of reaction.
I'm curious what
beforehand.
you're gonna think about the one bit.
You already know what bit it is.
Yeah, I know. All right.
Okay, so we're at this medical supply warehouse in Kentucky. So they have like all these they have like skeletons, and they got a dead body, and they have some like dead like dogs and stuff.
Yeah, it's
So,
like medical cadaver shit. And
yeah. So then like
things.
people like sometimes it's like schools need to like study skeletons or whatever. Like if a body like a
Mhm.
hospital needs a certain thing, they
Uh-huh.
can send it that way.
And they teenager Freddy is a new hire.
Freddy comes out. Okay.
Yeah.
Freddy's work outfit, okay? Which I guess this is a warehouse, so I guess like you wouldn't necessarily like dress up. Freddy's wearing a tank top with suspenders and like a baseball cap. And I'm just like, what is he wearing?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Why is he wearing
he looks cool.
a tank top with suspenders?
The only thing that would make that outfit cooler is a mustache and a soul patch.
That would have made it 90s instead of 80s.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I don't know if it would have made it cooler. I really don't have anything to say about that. It just threw me off. I was like, what's going on here?
Well, basically...
Because I was like, I feel like the way that Freddy's being presented, I'm like, because he has like a girlfriend, whatever, and I'm like, is he supposed to be like a heartthrob? Like, I'm like, is he supposed to be hot? I can't tell because I'm too distracted by by what he's wearing.
He's not hot.
No, he's not, but I was like, I can't think he's hot
when
he's wearing... it's not even the suspenders, it's the combination of the tank top and the suspenders.
Well, his middle-aged...
It didn't look like he needed the suspenders. Like, why was he wearing those? It was purely an
aesthetic choice.
Yeah. Like, I feel like it would have fit the outfit if he had, like, one of those, like, little pinwheel hats on his head. Like, that's the vibe it was giving.
All right. But, his middle-aged boss, Frank, doesn't seem to care because he's like...
Oh! Also, sorry. Freddy has a little, like, rat tail. Ugh,
I don't remember that.
He turns around. At some point when he takes his hat off, he has, like, this little rat tail on the back of his head. I'm like,
what's wrong?
That's gross. Cut that thing off.
Yeah, rat tails are very 80s.
Anyway, sorry, we can continue.
But his boss, like, is trying to, like, impress him. It's like he's like, hey, man, you wanna know some cool shit about the medical supply factory? And he's like, what? And he's like, well, the movie Night of the Living Dead. Well, let me actually say this part first, and then I can get to some more behind-the-scenes stuff. He's saying the Night of the Living Dead is based off a real thing.
Yeah. And this movie does start off with, like, a little thing at the beginning that's like, this is a real story, real people, real da-da-da-da.
Yeah, very Strangers.
I thought that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cute. But The Strangers is real.
No.
It's based on a true story, right?
Yeah, that one's, like, but I mean, it's still completely
This one's,
up.
like, silly, campy, like, and it was all real. Ooh, like a campfire story or something.
And he's telling him, he's like, yeah, that movie... But the government was gonna, like, shut it down, so he had to change a bunch of the details. But guess what? We actually got
through
like,
an accident.
Yeah, we got, like, a container with one of the zombies in it, and it's downstairs. And he's like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, let's go look at it. Mm-hmm. And he just takes it downstairs, and he's like, yeah, look at this military titanium.
It's this huge, like, metal barrel. It has, like property in the army or something, and then there's a 1-800 number. He's like, which I thought that was kind of funny.
Like, look at how strong this army equipment is, and he hits it, and it, like, instantly springs a leak.
I think it's so funny how many times he says the word, like, U.S. Army, like, 20 times. Yeah. Like, Freddy's like, that's from the army, and he's like, it's from the army, and he's like, what, do you think it's, like, he's like, it's not that strong, right? And he's like, it's from the army, of course the army made the strong take, it's the army! And then, he bangs it, and immediately it bursts.
Just knocks him out, and it, like, the gas, I guess, poisons them.
Which, I don't know, listen, even if it was really strong, I don't know if I'm going to be banging stuff that has chemicals and dead bodies in it. I think, like, maybe, I know it's strong, I know it's not supposed to break, but I don't know. But don't, like, hit it.
And to, like, all to impress your teenage coworker.
Right. Freddy, your teenage coworker who clearly has no sense of style, so can't be that cool anyway.
I love how these two, like, interact in this movie. It's just, like, they're just so, they're funny to me.
Dude, the old guy, I don't know what it is about. I think he does a really good performance. Like, I feel like when he's telling, like, the scary story parts, like, he looks, like, scary.
Yeah.
Like, he does this, like, his eyes get really big, and, like, he looks, like, almost, like, I don't know, like, gaunt, kind of. Like, it looks cool.
True.
Yeah, I know, it was a fancy word.
But, what I was gonna say about the behind the scenes is that there was some legal dispute between the guy, so Night of the Living Dead is a George Romero film, and basically...
Is it the same as Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah, that's that guy.
Oh.
Well, I mean, the Dawn of the Dead we watched is the Zack Snyder version.
No, that was Zack Snyder, but I've seen the original Dawn of the Dead.
So basically, for whatever reason, Dawn of the Dead is the sequel to Night of the Living Dead, and why it's called The Living Dead.
I didn't realize it was a sequel.
Well, I mean, like, they just kind of, they're both zombie movies.
Sure.
And I guess there's nothing saying that they're not taking place at the same time.
Okay.
However, the reason why he made that movie, but the rights to the term of the Living Dead went to somebody else. And so that's why they made this.
Oh, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I don't have the specifics of it because I'm a great podcast host who decided to not prepare. That's like, so, they're connected.
Your research. Okay, so yeah, this thing bursts open and there's like this poisonous gas that comes out
Yeah,
and
and it knocks him out.
it knocks them
And
out.
then we're ready to party. The zombies are ready
And
to
the
party.
movie is starting.
Title card.
They cut to like this random military dude is on the West Coast and he's like, we still haven't found the things. And like that's all we see of him until like the very end of the movie.
The very end of the movie.
Weird. That was a little bit of a weird choice in my opinion, but
So they when they come to basically the I think the container's empty, but also they're like stumbling around and like the medical cadavers in the warehouse due to I guess the toxins.
so basically, yeah, the gas,
Yeah.
like it gets everywhere.
And it starts just reanimating all the bodies.
All these dead bodies.
Which
They find there's like I said, there's like some animal. There's like a half a dog.
yeah, like a
and the
dog
dog
cut in
comes
half.
back to life.
Yeah, poor dog.
Dude, he like beats the dog because they're. I mean, to be fair, it's supposed to be dead, so
I
it's
know, but
freaked
it's like
out.
it's like a tiny
It's also
little-
like half a dog.
it's like a Yorkshire
It's like
Terrier.
cut in half.
It's like not a
Because it's like meant to be used to like study.
yes.
But it is like
It's like a little terrier, and the dog starts barking at them, and they're like, ah, and they beat the shit
to
out
be
of it.
fair, if it was a literally split in half body and it started walking around, I'd also be pretty freaked out.
There's like a bunch of pinned butterflies on a wall.
oh
and
yeah, they start
flapping their
fluttering a
wings.
little bit.
So basically, the way the zombies in this movie work, and they'll soon discover this, but it's instead of like the brain being like the source,
Yeah.
it's like for whatever, it's like dead tissue on its own is reanimated.
So you can cut off the head and the body still works.
Yes, and you could hurt the brain and the body still like basically you could chop off the hand and the hand's animated on
Like
its own.
you
would
basically can't kill it.
Yeah, you can't kill it. There is no way to kill it.
That was one of my problems with the movie is like I wish there was some way that they
Well,
figured out.
I guess you could disintegrate it.
But we see
yeah,
the consequences
yeah,
of that too
yeah.
in a little bit.
So
So there's like we said, there's a dead body that comes out and it's trying to get them, and they just start chopping it up.
Yeah.
Because they cut it off and it keeps going, it keeps moving,
And-
the hands keep moving, it keeps trying to get at them. So they chop it into little pieces.
and they're really distressed by this.
They actually don't chop it in. They should have chopped it into little pieces. They cut it off based on like limbs.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's not a very thorough job.
Yeah.
You gotta. I feel like the smaller you chop it, the less damage it's gonna be able to do. You know, if you still have a full hand, that could do some damage.
Yeah, no,
you know?
I know. But listen, are you gonna really take the I guess you're right.
Just
Yeah, you should
make a clean job of it.
I don't know, that seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a zombie and it's coming to get you.
Their boss joins them, by the way.
Yeah, the higher up.
Yeah, the higher up guy, Clu Gallagher is his.
And he's like,
the
oh
actor.
shit, you guys.
He's like, what the fuck you do? I don't know. That's not how he sounds, but like, he's that kind of energy. And what's his name? Bert. And so they're basically, I don't know if this is now, but their plan is to then take it to their crematorium friend down the street. And
Dude, I do think it's funny when they're like trying to get the body. Freddy I don't think it's Freddy. No, wait, who's the other? What's the other guy's name? The old guy?
the old guy.
Is it Frank? Frank is like Frank's like running. He's running around.
He's so distressed.
Dude, Frank does not have his shit together. He's like, ah, ah, ah. He's running around chasing this trying to hit this body. It's like, so silly. I was like
so distressed
because I think this is one of the parts that's like actually supposed to be like a little bit scary. But I was like, Frank, my dude.
This is one of the funnier parts. He's like
he
like
is wailing.
having a meltdown. Yeah,
like it is. I think it's really funny.
And they try to. I like when they try to hit the brain, and he's like, "But it was in the movie." And he's
oh
like,
yeah, no,
the movie
lied. Because in the original movie, I guess.
Yeah.
If you get the brain.
Yep, he
then
kills
you
him.
kill them.
Not this movie.
Not this movie.
All right, let's go over and jump over to our B plot. Our 80s
I have
teens.
some things to say about these 80s teens.
So it's like a whole group of 80s.
It's like Freddy's
punks.
girlfriend Tina and like all these other teenagers. Listen, you
It's
guys.
80s punks.
These 80s. This is like the most 80s teens I've ever seen. Like I literally looked up when this movie was because for a second I was like, oh, are they parodying like
No.
80s teens right now? Like
No.
the way they are so aggressive. Like
That's how people dressed.
like it's so aggressively 80s. Like I was like, oh, are they like which I mean I guess in a way they were like making fun of the 80s, but like it was during the 80s.
Yeah.
Oh my god, just from the way they dressed to the way they talked to each other, like
Yeah,
I
they got,
was like
full blown mohawks and
they are wearing like it's kind of funny because I feel like half of them are like very dressed like punks and the other half of them are more like preppy 80s kind of. Like the girlfriend is like pretty clean cut. There's like the one guy who's like in like a suit practically.
Yeah, but it's like a David Byrne suit where it's like it's like too big
It's
for
like
him.
it's like slightly oversized. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just so aggressively 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's awesome about it.
I kind of love it. As someone, listen, I was saying I don't love the 2000s aesthetic. I love 80s aesthetic. So I was like, oh, this is great.
They're driving around. They're like, we hate this town and we love death.
Yeah.
And one of them
literally is like, what is it? What do they say?
Her,
like
her name's Trash. And then she's
her name is literally Trash.
and
Tyson's not making fun of her name.
They go to a graveyard and she's like, I love death and it makes me so horny. And
no, wait, this part.
okay, so
they're like, oh, we should go pick up Freddy from his new day of work. But they get there and they're like, okay, we have like several hours before Freddy's done. Oh, look, there's a graveyard across the street. Let's go hang out in the cemetery, as 80s teens would do. 80s punk teens.
Exactly.
Just go hang out in the
like
cemetery.
emo.
So then they go to the cemetery, and this girl's like, yeah, no, she's basically like, wow, death makes me so horny. And she just starts taking off her clothes. Also, I think it's funny because, like, one of them's like, hey, Trash is getting naked again, which, like, implies that, like, this is just a thing that she does.
Yeah, I don't really, okay. So, like, obviously, the boy part of my brain is like, yeah, awesome. But like at the second part, like I don't understand why she strips all the way down and starts dancing.
You know what I was confused about? She's wearing like
knee high, like very like
she's wearing leg warmers.
Leg warmers, okay.
Because that's very 80s. I thought that leg warmers were in, but she's wearing these pants, and she's like, so she like takes off her shirt, and then she like rips off the pants, but it's just around the underwear region, and like the part on her leg stays there. And I was like, what? How do you even do? What kind of pants are you wearing? How is it even possible? Like, what? How physically would you rip the pants off so that it ripped that way? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Just like physically, how that's possible. I wasn't even like mad about it. Like I wasn't even like, of course there's a naked girl in the 80s movie. I was like, wait, I don't understand how she did that. And I want to watch it just because I don't understand.
Well, I have more behind the scenes information.
Oh, go for it.
It's not necessarily about that.
I think she was wearing underwear.
No, yeah. Well, no. And the movie she's not supposed to be. It's about this.
I would say, I feel like that had to have been like a censorship thing.
Well,
like,
they were like,
she was actually.
Well, she was naked, and then okay, well, listen, might get a little explicit. I'm just saying, like, so, and she had, pubic hair, right? And they were like, hey, you can't, like,
you can't show that.
You can't show that. And it's like, so they shaved it off, and then they're like, wait, this is way worse.
Yeah,
because you can just see everything. So they made, like, a perfect mold, like, just to, like, block her genital region. And that's it. But, like, so she's like a Barbie doll, but she's naked.
I was wondering, because I was like, I don't know, I was like, she's awfully smooth down there. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, no.
But I just figured she probably was like, my guess watching it was, I was like, okay, they probably, like, wanted her to look naked, but weren't, like censorship-wise, weren't allowed to. Yeah. So they probably, like, tried to make underwear that, like, made it look like she was still naked. That was kind of,
pretty much what they did.
Pretty much.
But yeah, that part's awesome, because she's naked, and you know.
I was just kind of I thought it was kind of silly. I thought it was kind of
it's silly.
It was 80s teens being a little punk.
I don't understand why, but like,
like there's no real reason for it.
80s teen would do that, right? I guess I wasn't there.
I don't know.
But
were they getting naked in graveyards?
It has to be cold, right? Well, it starts raining later.
Well, she does get cold. Yeah.
But
I don't know. I thought it was kind of funny. I wasn't mad about it. I was like I said, I was more confused the logistics of how she ripped off her clothes. I was like, the math here doesn't make sense.
But basically with
like where seams are built into clothing, Sorry, I'm not trying to get hung up on that, but I was like, how, what?
Science.
I don't know if she was, I don't know.
Well, it's not important.
She ends up essentially completely naked, right? Or does she still have the leg warmers on?
Yeah, she still has the leg warmer. It's very like.
Kind of slay.
I don't know. It's a very like male gaze kind of look. I was gonna say pornographic.
Yeah, I feel like that's
with the leg warmers that almost look like knee high socks.
Yeah,
and that's the only thing you're wearing.
I feel like that's not uncommon for like 70s and 80s horror movies, though.
Maybe.
I feel like I've watched a lot of. I feel like even really good horror movies I've seen are very male. Like I love Carrie. Carrie's so male gazy.
Yeah, there's that.
Same with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
There's not really any nudity in that though.
There's not nudity, just like the way some of the camera shots are. Like,
Oh yeah, with the camera on her ass.
yeah, like
yeah.
I'm like, all right.
It's an iconic shot of her
I mean,
ass in Texas Chainsaw
The
Massacre.
ass, yeah.
I don't even know how you got that. No, it's not. We're not talking about that movie. But so we jump back, I think, to the worker group because they're at the crematorium with their like this old German guy who's friends with Bert, the old boss, like the higher up.
Yeah,
boss.
because it's across the street, so they just take this chopped up body.
They take it in black bags, and he's like, "What's this?" And they're like, "Weasels," or whatever they say, and he's like, what are you trying to burn the weasels? And they're like,
he's like, just why would you burn them alive? Like, that's kind of messed up. Don't do that. And they're like, fine. Do you want to know the truth?
yeah. And they're like, yeah, it's.
So then they pull out one of the bags and it's like literally a whole hand. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I'm like, chop it up.
Wait, what's this guy's name? The German.
The German.
Well, he's like German. I'm pretty.
Oh, Ernie. Was he German?
Bert and Ernie, is that actually what their names are?
Who's Bert?
Bert is the older boss. I said that.
Wait, is it?
Yes.
I don't remember anyone's name. Oh my god. Yeah.
Bert
yeah,
and
it is
Ernie.
Bert and Ernie.
So Ernie.
And Sesame Street existed at this point,
Yeah,
I think.
no, probably. And yeah, so they start burning it. But
Do you think they wrote
What?
Sorry, sometimes when I'm like writing, like I just put in like placeholder names and I'm like, oh, I'll come up with a better name later, and then
and
I
you
never
don't think
do.
they changed it?
Maybe they were like Bert and Ernie, haha, that'd be kind of funny.
Then they
And
left
then
it.
they just like never got around to changing it, and they were like, yeah,
Yeah, probably. It wouldn't surprise me.
maybe, I don't know.
But so they burn that.
So
But then
yeah, because they're like they think that's the only way to get rid of it.
I mean, like
Which,
naturally,
honestly, logically, I would probably think the same thing. I can't, you know what, for that part, I can't blame them. I would think this will get rid of it, then we don't have to worry about it.
But guess what happens? Well, you've seen the movie, so you don't have to guess.
The smoke.
Ash smoke goes into the air.
And then it starts to rain, but the smoke dissipates into the clouds. So then when it rains, it brings the
spreading-
chemicals back down to the earth.
into the cemetery.
Into the cemetery, onto the naked girl and all her
And
friends.
all her friends, and
so then they start freaking out because it's raining, but they're
it's
like,
burning.
oh, it
It's like
burns.
acid rain.
It hurts. It's not normal rain. It like hurts them because it's chemical. So they run back to the car and they're freaking out.
Yeah.
Everybody's freaking out now.
And what I like about this movie is that you can already kind of see like the hints of an environmental message in there. I don't know. It just explores. I like you could. It's about like like the mismanagement of waste in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, that's what I get from it. But also the guys at the work. Do we do this yet? Where the guys at the work start feeling like sick
So,
from
yeah.
when they were. So they
Freddie and Frank.
from when they got.
Remember how
poisoned at
they
the
got like
beginning.
they opened the gas thing exploded and there was all that gas
Uh-huh.
that came out? They start feeling sick.
Yeah, sick. Do they call the doctors yet?
I don't know if they're feeling that sick yet. You know what I think is funny though?
What?
I thought that Freddie, when he was sick, he kind of looked like Dennis Reynolds when Dennis is like crazed.
Yeah, I got.
Like,
I know what you mean.
Sunken eyes a little bit. Like I was like, I don't remember what shot it was, but I was like, oh, that looks like Dennis when Dennis like gets like
Like, is
addicted to crack
insane.
in that one
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, that's right.
Dennis Reynolds is from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, in case you've never watched it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I was like, the makeup was like similar, and I was like, oh, the face structure is kind of there. Like I see it. But yeah, they start,
no, but before that,
before they get sick.
No. When it starts raining, they go down, or like they go to the warehouse, and they're not there
Well, I
yet.
think they're sitting in the car, and then like they realize
No,
they
but
don't have
the girl-
windows or something.
the girlfriend goes off on her own.
She tries to go find Freddie
in the warehouse, and she goes down to the basement, and the
because they're not there.
the zombie that was in the barrel. Sickest zombie design also
It's pretty
ever.
cool.
Yeah, Tar Man, because he's just
I
like,
think
covered in tar.
around this part, I was like, oh, I see why you really like this movie, and I feel like I've seen the influence in your work.
Yeah, a lot of corpses with eyeballs.
Yeah, you're into that.
I love, it's people are a skeleton with eyeballs. I've gone on over this before, but no, I haven't, not on the podcast. But a skeleton with eyeballs is scarier than a skeleton without eyeballs.
Sure.
Eyeballs
I get that.
are the way you look, and you don't there's a sense of recognition. People are like, oh, a skeleton with eyeballs is funny. What, to who, motherfucker?
It looks,
if you saw
it looks a little silly.
yeah, if you saw a skeleton with eyeballs, though, your thought is,
I think that's why it's could be construed as funny though, is because it's like out of place and because it doesn't look normal.
that's exactly
it's like,
what I'm saying.
that's a little funky.
But that's what
that's
horror
what makes it
works
scary.
on, is that you don't. It's like it's the unnatural. So that you got to take it right up to the line.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox, is that skeleton with eyeballs are scary as fuck. And if there was one under your bed coming at you with a knife,
You'd be scared.
you would kill yourself.
All right, I don't know about that. Calm down.
All right. So
So okay, yeah, but she sees this zombie, and it's basically like its eyeballs are sticking out, and it's like made of like tar.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's a cool
it's
design.
pretty cool. And she's oh, well, one of them comes in, the one with the mohawk. It's not really important.
Oh yeah, we don't really know
and
her
then
group of friends very
he
well.
gets his head bitten off by the tar man.
Yeah, and then all the other teens come in, and they don't even fight it really. They help Tina get out.
Yeah, they're scared.
And they lock it in there, and they're like, they're like, what's going on? Da da da. We don't know what to do. So I'm gonna say, what happens now? Where are we at?
Yeah, there's a lot that
Do
kind
they
of
go back
happens
outside?
concurrently. Well, they have to run around outside because Trash is grabbed by a bunch of zombies that start rising from the graveyard.
I think.
I think they look outside.
They realize, I think, like, one of them, while they were still hanging out in the graveyard before it started to rain, one of them saw Freddy going to the mortuary. So they're like, okay, we think he's there. Like, maybe we should go over to, like, the funeral home that's over there.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, great. So they go over there. But while they're running that way, you remember it rained and it went into the ground at the cemetery. Oh no, all these dead bodies are coming out of the ground now. This part's cool. I liked this part.
Yeah, no, it is cool.
Dead bodies coming out of the ground. The teens are all running across.
There is literally like this effect isn't that good, but it's like the skeleton with eyeballs coming out of the. It's
Yes.
ah.
So they're all running across the graveyard. Two of them go back to the
I think we might have gotten
right?
the order of events messed up.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's just teens running around everywhere.
Yeah, teens running around everywhere.
There's this part where like Tina's in this like huge puddle and she's about to get grabbed, but then they help her out of it.
Uh huh.
At least one of the teens is. Oh, you know who it is?
Trash.
It's the naked one.
Yeah.
She's down.
And guess what? She becomes a naked girl
She
zombie.
becomes a naked girl zombie. Like, it's kind of sick.
It is sick.
It's pretty cool.
And there's one part where it's later, but there's one part where you see her try to bite at somebody, and her jaw just like it unhinges like a snake. It's really big.
Oh,
it's only for a quick second.
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
Very Jennifer's body.
But yeah, so I think we lose her. Some of the teens end up at the funeral home,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them end up back at the warehouse.
Yeah.
Great.
So, but at the funeral home, of course, they're getting sick, and at some
I
point,
honestly, sorry, I'm just realizing now. I made a note that was like, I wrote "Naked Girls Kill" was so cool.
no, wait a minute.
There's like this rock song.
Yeah.
It's raining. There's lightning. Everybody's falling in the mud. All these bodies, like, while all the teens are like falling down and struggling, these bodies are just like rising out of the ground.
Sick.
It's
Very
pretty
cool.
cool. It was pretty
is
cool.
pretty
I don't
cool.
remember what the
We
song
did
was,
get-
but the song made it extra cool.
We did get the events mixed up because
Oh,
they did
no.
call the ambulance beforehand to check them out, and they're like, "Hey, so you guys are technically."
Oh, is the ambulance already there?
Yeah, because the ambulance can't arrive.
Okay, so
before the-
at the cemetery they called the ambulance for Frank and Freddie.
Yeah,
because
and-
they're not doing well.
and
they're really,
yeah, they're
really
freaking
bad.
out. They're freaking out. This is what's upsetting about it because they treat them like getting sick and dying as like very real. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like they get sick and they
'Cause
scream in pain a bunch.
I would say Frank is going through it.
Yeah, and they're like, "Hey, so you don't have heartbeats?
Yeah,
so
the
you're dead."
ambulance guys were like, "You don't have heartbeats. You don't
And
have
they're
blood
like-
pressure.
And they're like, "So we're dead?" And they're like, "Well, no,
They
obviously
take their
not."
temperature and it's like 70 degrees.
Ooh, yeah.
They're like,
So,
and so they're like, well, what do you mean we're dead? And they're like, well, we don't really know. Like all
Like-
signs are pointing to being dead, but
you
you're
can't
talking
be
to
dead,
us
yeah.
right now.
So that, but, you know, like, you see where they sit down, like, the blood pool, like, it bruises.
Yeah,
And, like, the rigor mortis sets in so they can't move. It's like,
they're like,
that's
in pain.
freaky.
That is, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's freaky.
Okay, so when the teens get there, they're obviously panicked. And they're like, what's going on? Like, why is there dead bodies? Like, why is there, what's in the basement of the place? What's going on?
Yeah.
Da-da-da. And they're trying to warn them, like, hey, like, the dead bodies are alive. Like,
Yeah.
they're coming for us. So then they have to go around the house, basically, and, like, barricade. Because,
Yeah,
it's like this big funeral home.
Yeah,
it's
they're in
not
the funeral
just,
home.
like,
Okay,
the
I
mortuary.
remember where we're at now.
So they have to go around and like barricade all the windows
Yeah.
and like any entrances because the zombies now are like trying to get in to get the people that are inside. I think we lose one of the teens at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure.
during all this?
Teens start dropping. But,
Yeah, he's killed while they're barricading.
we gotta just talk about the part, though, where...
Oh, and then also the paramedics, they go back to their
Yeah.
ambulance at one point.
And yes, and they get killed, and then the zombie goes up to the speaker in the ambulance, and he says, the zombies can talk,
Send
by the
more
way.
bodies.
He's like, send more paramedics.
Yeah.
And then they just keep that. What the zombies are pretty smart in this. They can like plan and they devise and they can speak.
Yeah. They're not like the zombies are just gonna walk around like no.
They run around and they're
They have an idea of what they're doing. When the paramedics go to the ambulance, because they go and they basically like, why were they going I think they were gonna get the stretcher and like take the guy's way, but they go. So they turn on the lights, the way they realize like all the zombies are there. They turn on like the headlights, and it's just like a whole
it's a wall of zombies.
They're all just standing there though, and I wrote down that it kind of reminds me of Haunted Mansion.
Like the ride?
That's probably not a compliment, but like something about like the way it looked and like them being in the cemetery and the lighting and something. I was kind of like Haunted Mansion vibes.
Traditionally spooky.
Yeah, just kind of like. Even though it's zombies, like it had like kind of like a ghostly feeling to it,
you see like the aesthetics of a horror movie are like, cemeteries, graveyards, and like, but you never actually really see. I don't feel like you actually ever see that really in a movie. So like,
yeah, maybe that was it. I just think there was something
tropey.
in, like. Also, I think there's so much, like, the zombies are pretty violent, and they're constantly, like, running around and, like, going after them. This was, like, one of the few moments they're, like, still. Like, they all just were standing there looking at him. I thought it was cool. I would say, I didn't know if saying Haunted Mansion you were going to be offended by that.
No, I kind of don't know what you mean, I think. But I get it.
Yeah.
So
traditional spook.
They managed to, like, they capture, like, one half of a body at one point.
Yes.
And they pin it down to the table, and they're like, hey, what's up?
Like, why are you doing this? Why are you alive? Why are you trying to come
this
for
half
us?
zombie girl is like, yo, it hurts to be dead. We can feel it. They eat brains.
She's like, the only thing that relieves the pain
is eating brains. And I'll say this is where zombies eating brains comes from. That was not a thing before this.
This movie?
Yep.
Oh, really?
The zombies eating brains is not an explicit thing in the original Night of the Living Dead.
Oh, that's fascinating, actually.
Or Dawn of the Dead. So them eating specifically brains, the zombies saying brains is like this is the first instance.
Movie?
Well, this is the first instance of it, so it would have to come from this movie.
Oh, that's really interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I like how they have an explanation for it.
I like that the zombies have, like, I don't know, one, it's terrifying to imagine being dead but feeling your body decompose. Yeah. And also, like, the zombies have a motive.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is nice.
I feel like zombie stuff's always interesting because there's like, I feel like there's so much flexibility with what you can either have zombies that like literally don't think at all and they just like run around, or sometimes even just walk around and just, or you can have like, I feel like this is like on the more intelligent end.
Yeah.
Or you have like The Last of Us, where there's, even within that, there's kind of different types of zombies.
Yeah, different zombie types.
So I think that zombies are kind of an interesting, because it's like a defined thing.
Yeah.
Zombie is like a specific thing. It's not like this like ambiguous creature that you can do whatever you want with. Like, there are rules, but I feel like there's kind of like a spectrum to zombie movies.
Yeah, it's like any other classic movie monster, which,
sure.
I mean, like...
But I feel like something like a vampire has stricter rules to it, you know? Like, there is still, like, because it's a fictional thing, there's still flexibility, but I feel like vampire, like, they suck blood, they don't like garlic, they don't like holy, like, I feel like it's a little bit stricter about who they are and what they do.
What are zombies if not...
Versus zombies
the dead are alive and they eat people.
Yeah, but I feel like there's a lot more flexibility with, like this movie, like, you can't really kill them.
Oh, yeah,
and even when you burn them, like, this happens. That was my one complaint, that was, like, do feel like there should have been some way.
I don't know how you would, like, there's no solution. You would have to, like, maybe you could dissolve them.
No, I know, but
like,
I wish
acid.
that there was. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe they just didn't figure it out. Like, I can't, like...
Maybe they just didn't figure it out.
If you dissolved them in
That's
acid, true. What is that? It's not like it rises up into the air.
I don't know. Maybe that would work.
But
that was like my one complaint. I was like, I didn't really like how there didn't seem to be any sort of weakness. But okay.
Freddy's girlfriend is with him.
Yeah. She's freaking out.
Yeah, she's freaking out.
Freddy.
And so they're like, hey, heads up. It's looking like these two are probably going to be zombies based on the information we have.
Right.
And
so they're like, we need to put them in a separate room.
Yeah, they lock them in a separate room, and she's like, no, I'm not going to leave him.
I'm staying with Freddy. Girl, don't stay with your dumbass high school boyfriend, okay? Like, get out of there. He's going to be a zombie. Like, oh my God. Like, they locked him in a room with the intention of, like, we'll go back and check at some point just in case they don't become zombies. But they're like we said, they're dead, essentially.
Yeah.
They're living dead. Ooh.
Which is, and it's just like, again, I do feel bad for Freddy because he
I
seems
do.
like he's
They're, like-
in genuine pain
they
for like
are
an hour.
Really, yeah, they're like not doing well.
And so like I guess I could sympathize with the girlfriend being like I can't just leave him.
I understand that it's like hard to watch him go through that. I mean, I do feel bad
But like
for
if
him.
you do know that he's gonna
But,
become
like,
a zombie,
Don't go in the room with him.
which he
and
does
hang
become a
out.
zombie,
Which he does.
and he gets
Yeah.
up and he's all aggressive.
Girl. Oh my god, I was kind of like stupid. I was like, that's a dumb move right there. Like, also at this point, there's like one other teenager. Oh wait, there is like the two in the other building still,
Mhm.
but we'll get to them. But no, there's only one other teen with them. That's
What
left
happens with the
alive.
other two?
The other
Oh
two.
yeah,
How
okay,
many
never
are
mind.
there?
Okay, I see. I remember.
So okay, this part was interesting. So, like we said, Tina goes in with them. Freddy does indeed become a zombie, so he
Yep.
starts chasing after her.
Mm-hmm.
How exactly does this happen?
And she gets into the attic.
Well, no. Before
Before
that.
this?
Before that. Because she's running around trying to run away from Freddy. And I don't remember if she gets out or like if they let her out. But there's kind of like this showdown with Freddy. And oh, you know what they do? They realize like we can blind them. And
Oh,
they
yeah,
do
they
throw
hit him
acid
with, like, an
in his
acid
eyes.
yeah.
Frank, during all of this, just kind of scuttles away. And I was kind of like,
What's he thinking?
I was like, where the hell did Frank go? I was like,
Well,
that's gonna come back in a minute. I was
Well,
like,
it
why?
does.
Because he just kind of disappears. So
And Frank-
they blind Freddy, and then they kind of run off, and they like are trying to formulate a plan of like, oh, have the cops gotten there yet?
yeah, no, well, and while all this is happening, cops and paramedics are showing up outside, and the zombies are just tearing them down. Like, there's no,
Yeah, that's
like,
pretty
they
much
can't,
it.
yeah, they can't get to them. It's just like little funny comedic
There's just
beats.
like more paramedics and more
I think
cops
there's one
showing
part
up,
where
and they all get taken down.
A zombie has dressed up like a like using either the cop.
Oh
like,
yeah,
outfit, and
he's like in a cop outfit, and he's
and
like
then they're like, what's going on?
guiding them to the place, and then just like the zombies just jump out
Eat 'em.
and get
Yeah,
them.
it's funny.
So they're hoping that that the cops are gonna come save them or something, but things
No,
are not looking
obviously
good.
not.
So
And Frank,
the other teen.
no, yeah, before we get to that, but Frank, we got to talk about this part. Frank,
Oh, sure.
Frank, knowing he's about to become a zombie, takes his wedding ring off, puts it on the incinerator handle, and just climbs into the
incinerator. He
and
basically
burns himself and kills himself.
before he becomes a zombie, which I think
This
is
movie,
admirable. I've been hating on Frank a little bit, but
this movie is so funny, and then it's like
wow.
I don't know. Yeah, it's very that's very
I
sad
kind
and
of
upsetting.
agree. What other?
I mean,
Was it The Last of Us?
what?
I'm trying to think of something else. Like there's another. I mean, I'm sure this is actually probably been done a million times, but like
Where
they
a
knew
guy
that they were gonna become
a zombie?
whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that's a trope. Yeah.
I'm excited. The Last of Us is coming back.
Yeah.
I don't think you've seen The Last of Us.
No, but I know the plots because I know the games. But
Okay. I'm excited. I love it's so.
do you know anything
good.
about what's gonna happen next?
I don't know.
It'll be
I'm
controversial.
scared. The only thing I've heard is I think the girl is gay. Which,
Oh yeah, it's not
that's
relevant
just
to
because
the
some of my
not
gay
the
friends are really into it.
not the
but-
controversial part.
No, I don't.
They make some choices that
the
they may or
plot, I have no idea.
they'll
what's
make
gonna
some
happen.
choices that may or may not be carried over into the show. In the game, at least, that upset a lot of people.
Okay.
We'll talk about that another time. But
Yeah, but I feel like I'm not a big consumer of zombie content, and that's one of my biggest things. I actually do really love that show. So yeah, Frank basically sacrifices himself.
yeah,
He knows he's gonna be a zombie. He's like doesn't want that to happen.
I mean,
I find that very admirable. I think that was
German.
the right thing to do.
Basically, they get separated. I think Bert leaves.
Bert.
The
Oh,
older
he
guy.
tries.
Yeah.
Oh, because they try and get out to the car.
And that's when they get connected. Bert and one of the teens named Spider. It's not. I mean, like it's one of the.
Wait,
punk
who's Scoos?
teens. One of the.
Is
punk
he the one that?
teens.
Oh, he died earlier. Okay. I don't know any of the punk
You
teens'
can't keep
names.
track of the punks' names.
No.
So Bert and Spider get separated from Ernie and Tina, and Ernie and Tina get into the
They
attic.
get into the attic
and
to
that's where
hide
they-
because Freddy's he's blinded now, but he's still
He's
trying to
running
find. He's like,
around.
Tina, I can smell your brains. I'm gonna come get you.
I-
Tina needs to shut up because Tina's in this attic space and she's screaming, and I'm like, girl, he's blind. He wouldn't be able to find. Well, I mean, I guess maybe if he can smell them, but like, I'm like, because he's like,
Yeah.
Tina, and she's like, ow, yeah, and I'm like, shut up.
If you
Be
were in
quiet.
that,
Stop it.
If you were in that situation, you would not be able to be quiet. I bet it.
No, I think I would.
We're
I
a
might be
couple-
freaked out. Don't get me wrong.
We're a
I might be
couple
freaked
yappers.
out. I might be crying, but I'll be doing it silently. I am not going to be screaming my head off. That's when we yap, but like if somebody jumps out and scares me, I don't usually scream. That's like not.
You wouldn't scream if somebody jumped out and scared you.
No, I'm not gonna be like, ah.
Ah!
Are you trying to scare
Yeah,
me?
but that not
I'm
just...
sitting right next to you.
Yeah, I know. It was a surprise.
Okay. That's like when
All
someone's
right.
like, I have hiccups.
Okay,
and
we were
everyone's
right.
like, oh, did I
we
scare
are right
you?
at the end of this movie. We gotta power
We are like
through.
right at the end. Okay, so they're up in the attic and Frank's or Freddy. Sorry, Frank killed himself.
And that's where they'll
Freddy's
be.
trying to get himself.
That's where they'll be.
They're up there.
We
They're
can
up there.
now go over to
So now Bert and Spider,
who's one of the punk teens.
one of the only ones left. They get over to the warehouse. Remember we said there were 2 teens over there?
Uh-huh.
They're hanging out. They kind of, I feel like the 2 teens over there have this really silly dynamic where like,
Yeah.
it's just like the guy's like, I guess we're gonna die and we're here together. And she's like, I hate you. Shut up. I think that's what I would be like in this situation.
That's real.
I'd be like, shut up. Like,
Well, I'm just...
she actually does reach a point too where she's like, I don't like you, but like, can you just hold me for a minute? I'm scared. And I'm like, okay, real.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so yeah, Bert and Spider get over there. They find them.
And they basically decide, they're like, okay, we did not contact the number on the barrel at first because we didn't want...
They didn't want to get in trouble with the army.
Yeah.
But now they
they're
call
like,
that 1-800 army
They're
number.
like, well, now what else do we do? And they call it, and he's like, so what happened? And he just writes down a little notebook, and he's like, okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And then he's like, all right.
He very calmly goes over to his computer. I'm watching this, and I'm like, are they not? What are they gonna do? I'm like, what are they gonna? Because there's also like a voiceover happening where he's like talking to someone. He's like, yeah, no, it was like prime area, like right outside Louisville. I think it's in Louisville, right? Like right outside, but like not in the main city area. So like not many lives were lost or something. And I'm like, are they gonna nuke it?
And they do.
They nuke. Because you're sitting there thinking, oh, how's everyone gonna get out of this? How are they? No, everyone dead.
Dies.
That's how they contain the situation. Which like. What?
Yeah,
What?
so all of them dies, and you know, this part's really creepy. This is my favorite part of the whole movie, and I can't explain why, but right before the nuke drops, Zombie Freddy jumps into the attic, and it freeze frames, and it's like, Tina, and then, boom, I don't know, I just think it's really creepy.
Boom!
It's just really
boom!
creepy.
Everything explodes, because they nuke, send the nukes. They nuke Kentucky.
But guess what happens when you
But
burn
you
the
know,
bodies?
when you burn the bodies, as we learned earlier, it doesn't kill them. It sends the chemicals into the air, and then the chemicals go up into the air, and then it starts to rain all over the city.
And then the zombies start to rise.
How the movie ends.
Do you want to party? And
I liked it. I kind of like that ending.
Yeah.
You know what the ending kind of reminds me of, honestly?
What?
Little Shop of Horrors original ending.
Yeah.
Where the plants end up taking over the world.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's
both kind of campy, both kind of silly, have their scary stuff going on, but also like a little bit of commentary.
Well, it's like American Werewolf too, because it's like,
yeah,
it's pretty funny, but then at the end it's just like, oh, I guess spoilers for American Werewolf, but they just shoot him down and he's dead, and that's it. And that's the end. The movie ends.
That's like the end. Yeah, that is crazy. That was just like, I was like, they're not gonna nuke.
No, it's great.
Louisville.
It's great.
They
So
did.
you know, very very satirical. Well, I guess not as satirical as They Live, but
not quite on the nose. I think that's why, because They Live was a little like, I was kind of
no,
like,
but this just shows the
shoving it down your
government,
throat
the
a little
government
bit.
process. I mean, like, what else would you do? I guess nuke them.
That's true. I mean, could you try something else first?
Well, I mean, if the chemical is this dangerous,
I guess maybe hypothetically, maybe the army already knows that nothing else is gonna work. That's like my only defense for them doing that, is like maybe they already know.
If the army misplaced the barrels and they sent them over to the wrong place,
They'd be on that.
You don't think they would have spent a large amount of time trying?
Well, and I think that's what's funny too, is I think even Freddy says that, where he's like, these belong to the army,
and they
want them? They just left them here. And he's like, well, yeah, it's the army.
Yeah, it's the
army.
They're literally looking into the window of the thing, and it's like a zombified
like a dead
corpse.
body, yeah.
And they're like, what? They don't want this back? It's like, yeah,
it's the army.
They're not worried about it.
Whatever.
So that was that movie. That was Return of the Living Dead.
I liked it.
Yep.
I think it goes along with some of the, I think maybe that's like where we kind of cross, is like campy 80 movies that are like silly.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying this is why I felt I didn't actually mean to bring up the monkey, but the monkey is a good continuation of, like, I'm not saying it's a perfect movie, but people, and you hear it again, you hear it again every single time they do this. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
is it funny or is it supposed to be scary? And it's like, there are parts that are disturbing, but then it's also just a very fun and funny movie overall.
Sure.
And it's just like, we don't get movies like this that often anymore.
Yeah.
I say this all the time, but I don't think
The 80s weren't afraid to be a little silly. Silly with it.
Shaun of the Dead is often cited as like a great horror comedy, but I don't think that movie is ever actually disturbing at any point.
I haven't seen it, but it seems like more of a comedy.
No, it
than
is
a
just
horror.
a straight comedy. And
Yeah.
and it like, I mean, some characters die, and it's sad. It's sad, but it's not like disturbing. And it ends happy. It's like,
No, like, because like, I think for this, I think it still is scary. Like, especially before they send the nuke. Like, it is kind of one of those situations where it's like, oh boy, like Tina and what's his face, the cemetery guy, like they're in the attic and Freddy's gonna get them, and then the other people are like, oh, like they're calling the army, like they have some hope that it's all gonna work out, and it's like that big moment of suspense where you're like, like what's gonna happen, like is it like how are they gonna solve it, and then it's just the nuke. But I kind of like that, but like I kind of get what you're saying where it's like,
I don't know, I think a horror comedy with a downer ending is like great. It's
yeah,
like, chef's kiss. This is my favorite thing in the world.
yeah. All right, I'm not mad about it.
Okay,
I think it's kind of fun.
great. So what? Next week we do our Oscar.
Yeah.
I guess 'cause
so.
I can't ask you what we're gonna watch. 'Cause
We kind of already said we're trying to watch all the Best Picture nominees at least. No guarantees, but it'll be fun because it'll be I think we're gonna do our picks and our predictions, and for each award, and then it'll be coming out. The episode will be coming out the day of the Oscars, so you can either listen ahead of time and see what if you agree with us. Or you can listen sometime during the week after and laugh at how wrong we are about everything.
And then I think by the next episode we'll just catch up and see how we did.
Yeah,
Not
I
for
don't
the
think
whole
I don't feel like we
episode,
need
but,
a recap episode of the
No, we're not gonna do a
Oscars.
recap episode, but maybe instead of the Tiny Movie
We'll just
Corner,
be like, wow,
just-
we got everything wrong. You
Yeah.
know, we'll give a little instead of Tiny Movie Corner.
Yeah, I think just instead of Tiny Movie Corner,
we can
let's
give a
just-
little Oscars, little mini
recap
Oscars
on how we
recap
did.
before we get into the movie.
That's great. I'm hot. Let's get out of here.
Okay, well, thank you guys for listening. If you enjoyed, you can follow us on Instagram.
All social media.
All social media. Yeah, you're
Pretty much.
not all social media, but Instagram and TikTok at Shut Up and Watch
Pod.
Pod. Letterboxd, Shut Up and Watch. We have a YouTube channel and we have Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Note about the YouTube. I'm actually like 2 episodes behind on uploading the YouTube. I'm fixing it. But just know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Everybody publicly
I have to
Tyson in the
render out the
comments.
episodes. It takes like 30 because they're like hour long.
Yeah, it does take
takes
a long
like 30
time.
minutes to
Posting YouTube videos will take a while.
Yeah. So
Okay, well that's okay.
not an excuse, but a failure.
Now my flow's been interrupted.
Sorry. Oh, thank you to
Bailey Johnson for the logo, Justin Hicklin for our theme song, and Cassian Kraus for editing.
Yep,
Our
editing
new
the
editor.
podcast. Yep.
Am I missing anything
You know
important?
what? If you leave a review, guess what? I'll read it out on the podcast, and before Christina gets mad at me for not having it ready and ahead of time,
and
I'm
every week
pulling
we
it
get
up
to
now.
sit here and wait in silence.
We're
for a
not
moment
waiting
while-
in silence. I'm talking
because we're talking in order to fill the
and
silence.
guess what? There's no new reviews.
Oh God, really? Really? Who could have guessed?
Well, one day I'm gonna do that, and there's gonna be a new review.
That happened once.
If you go on the YouTube and you leave comments, you can even leave comments on the Spotify. I'll read anything. You send an email.
You're telling me you just checked everything?
No, but I'm just saying. I looked earlier.
Okay.
For the
Oh,
comment,
okay.
I get notifications about comments, so like
Okay.
I'll know. But like, email in, leave a comment. You want to be read on this public platform? I'll spout whatever you say, verbatim.
Get your free shout out, guys.
That's actually not true. If there are probably limits to what I will say on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, right.
No, I don't want
Sure.
people to push. I don't want people to test me on
Right.
that.
You don't want people to put down something that is a little.
I can't say. Yeah.
Right. Sure. Tyson,
Yes, Christina.
did you know that if you don't share this podcast, then you might get attacked by zombies?
Wow, that's it. That's what you had. That's
What do
what
you
you
mean
came up with. You might get attacked by zombies.
What the hell do you want me to say? We
I-
watched a zombie movie.
Well, what did you say
Fine.
for Dawn
If
of the
you,
Dead?
if I I don't know. I don't remember. Okay, fine. Hey, Tyson.
Hey, Christina.
Did you know that if you share this podcast, then you and your friends can do a naked little dance in a graveyard?
That's great.
Have a fun time. I personally don't want to do that, but, maybe other people do. You know what? No, actually.
No, say it now. We can cut it if it's bad.
No, I was just going to say, I was like, if I could be very positive that I was by myself, and that nobody was going to interrupt me.
In the graveyard?
Yeah,
Is it not
sure.
disrespectful?
They do point that out in the movie. I don't know.
She's not even dancing, like, between the graves. She's
on
on
top of a grave.
Yeah.
She's, like, on a dead body.
Damn, man.
I don't know. Feel the rain on your skin, I guess. Release your inhibitions.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay.
That seems like a good closing note.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.